Hello, everybody, and welcome to Katrina Rasbold and Friends. I'm so excited for today. When I thought of my list of people I wanted to talk to, Corbie was one of the very, very, very first that I knew had to get on. And in fact, Corbie is the first person that I have interviewed who's not in my family. And I just knew that she was an easy one because we have spent so much microphone time together and so much camera time together that I knew it was a cheat. I mean, it was just going to be so easy anyway. And Corbie and I both have that ability to just uh, carry a program and ramble on by ourselves. So you know that when you're talking to the other person, it's going to flow. So I'm very excited to introduce all of you to my dear friend, Corbie. And Corbie Mitleid is going to tell you who she is and what she does.
This is what I call the 30-second elevator speech. I've been reading since I was 18. I'm 70. I am a certified tarot master, past life specialist, psychic medium, channel author, and I don't do fluff. Nobody is going to hear they're going to meet a guy with blue eyes and a limp in a bar. I don't go there. My whole thing is here are your opportunities and how to grab them. Here's the tough stuff. Here's how to get through it and around it. Here's your toolbox. Go rock and roll. I do this full time, and it's how I have to keep my 3 cats in litter and food and toys. And Katrina and I were one of those click and locks when we ran into each other 6, 7, 10 years ago, whatever. And whenever on any of my podcasts or my TikTok, I have to recommend someone who knows the occult, the candles, all of that stuff, I send them to her. I have 3 or 4 people I recommend, and she is one of them. And she and I, we're good at talking. Hell, we could do mashed potato recipes for an hour if you asked us to.
So you also wrote a book or two.
A little bit, yeah. Completely different from the wonderful fiction that you do. Mine is always nonfiction. I offload everything that I learned in my crazy life. And if it's useful, good. And as I often say, words are my drug of choice. So there you go.
That's awesome. I don't remember how we met. And I don't know if it's just that it was so goddamn long ago, or if it's because you've always been there, or if it's because I'm just old and don't remember anything.
Well, I do know that when I came out to do some stuff in Seattle in 2019, I did that trip down to see you. I think that we had known each other a little bit before, but the time that I spent at the shop, it was immediate. And I do remember it was about a week after a dear friend of mine passed way too young. She was the person who married me to my husband. She had very good glue. We're 25 years in now. And I remember when we were doing the, I think it was right around Samhain, and we were doing the outside ritual.
Yes.
And there was my friend Sharon, who was Episcopal and Celtic Christian. She'd been ordained, and she was right in the front of the parade of dead people, holding up the bishop's crozier and grinning from ear to ear. I mean, it was fabulous. And
that's wonderful.
She would not have come in if it hadn't been such a welcoming space. So I owe you for that one.
That's awesome. That is actually one of the few rituals that we did at the shop. Mm-hmm. We had one of our students that took over and did the rituals after that. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, you hit on one of the few that we actually did. So I'm glad you were there for that.
It was wonderful.
That's awesome. So as we're getting into the flow of interviewing, and again, haven't been very many yet. I've done a lot of interviewing in my past, but on this show, I haven't done very many. But what I like to do first is ask a series of 8 questions. Mm-hmm. And you give us the answer, and we discuss a little bit if it bodes discussion. Mm-hmm. And so the first one, and I straight out stole this from Stephen Colbert because it's such a great question. Mm-hmm. What do you think happens when you die?
Well, when we die, let me make it general first. I do believe that it's kind of like getting off a cruise ship in that it's not just your current Aunt Mabel and Uncle Dan that say hello to you. But remember, you've been around a while. So there are so many souls that maybe didn't have a connection with you in this life, but did in other ones. And they're just there welcoming you back. You do have a life review. It's not quite like defending your life, but my understanding is every single good thing you did, kind, altruistic, you get to then see it, but feel the result as if it was done to you.
Ooh.
But that means every shitty thing you ever do, you have to feel the pain, the grief, the anger, the bewilderment. That's what's hell. But then you're done. I mean, for people who think that God is this judgmental, sitting, I call that the magic donkey. No, the magic donkey does not kick you and you go to hell, please. That is such ant thinking. Now, what do I mean by ant thinking? I often say it's for the big ineffable. Thank you, Aziraphil. It's kind of like sending an ant to a calculus class. Not only does he not have the math background, but he can't hold the pencil in his little hand. It's not there. So whatever the ultimate everything is, we can't comprehend it. Does that mean that there's no God? No, it doesn't. But the ones that we talk to are somewhere between the ineffable and us. And that's how we can communicate. Yes, I do believe that we can retain personality up there, but only what's useful. When my father, whom I loved, best buddy, comes in occasionally to help me with medical stuff, what does he bring that was Jerry Dorkin? He still puns terribly. His compassion, his great medical understanding. What got trashed the minute he went up there? His depression, his hypochondria, and his anxiety, because that was for learning down here. He doesn't need it there. But that's why I say when I'm done with that, I'm going to be working doing this until I'm 2 weeks dead, flip the sign to spirit guide and keep the office. I love what I do. Why would I quit?
I love that.
So, I'll be honest, it's the dying process that scares me a little bit because I so love being human. I am not, there's human and other, I'm human. And I keep telling myself, you've done this before. You died of childbed fever in a hospital in 1949. You died being shot down over Belgium in 1917. You've done this, but I like being alive so much that I just push it off.
I love that. That's wonderful. And I feel the same thing. I love almost everything about being human. Eric doesn't. He thinks this world is just a shithole, and he's a little bit, he's happy to be here for the people that he knows, but I came down here to get them and leave. And I'm with you. I love the human experience. I really do.
Even the tough stuff. In
retrospect, I like it in retrospect.
Well, I have been through so much shit. I say it in podcasts, I'll just run the list. 3 bouts of breast cancer, 2 divorces, the death of my parents, rape, poverty, abuse. Yeah. But if I hadn't gone through all of that, would I be who I am now? Would I have the understanding that lets me hear anything anybody says to me and be okay with taking it in, listening, and helping them work it? No. I mean, I might have been vanilla if I had a normal life. This is tuna fudge ripple, but it works. So
our next question.
Yeah.
This one was hard for me to answer myself.
Okay.
Who in your life has been especially influential to you in a positive way? Now, there's lots of people that train us in a negative way. Mm-hmm. But I want to know who inspired you, who mentored you, who made you feel like this could help you be a better person and influenced you in a wonderful way.
Oh, where is he? Hold on. He's here somewhere. This guy. Right there. That's my dad. And we shared the same birthday. I was his 34th birthday present. I thought I came in a box with ribbons until I was 5. Dad is the one that taught me to love words. Dad is the only one in the family who believed what I do. Dad was the one that came to me 3 weeks after he passed over, in a way that it absolutely was him that reassured me, yeah, I'm getting dead people. It's okay. And as I said, he comes in and occasionally helps me with medical intuitive. He had a rough life, but I never for one moment doubted that I was loved. And he believed in me right to his last breath. And these days, that's hard to find.
Yes. It really is. So this leads us into the next part. Mm-hmm. So that's our receiving, I guess I would say. Yeah. What are you the most proud of in your life? What do you, when you look back at all those things you've done, all the things you accomplished, everything you felt, everything you've provided, what are you the most proud of?
I'm a cork. What that means is I don't care what the fuck you tried to push me down with. I pop to the top. I don't give up. Change. There has been more change in my life than any 12 sofas that you would go and look for the change in that. But seriously, nothing stops me. Not breast cancer, not divorces, not nothing. And I'm 70 and frankly feeling better than I have felt in 10 years because I'm taking better care of myself. And I'm seeing a lot of my friends drop like flies. It's just like what you wrote about. But when I was 11 on the Ventnor Boardwalk in Ventnor, New Jersey, a fake gypsy told me I was going to live until I was 89. And I have held on to that since then, except that now I say at 89, I am allowed to renegotiate my contract should I choose.
That's fair. She's probably dead now anyway, so.
Yeah. But it's what's gotten me through things like the breast cancer. I knew I wasn't going to die. Didn't know what else was going to do to me, but I was going to make it through. It's kind of like Captain Pike on Strange New Worlds. He sees when he's going to die from the training ship. So, we're watching him and all these, and he's in a terrible situation again. He'll get out of it.
He's going to be all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I wish we could have his hair.
Wouldn't everybody love to have his hair?
It's so fine.
It is. It is. I mean, there was another question that you asked on there from the list, which was what TV shows, etc.
Yes. Well, let's jump to that.
Okay. It's always been Star Trek for me. And right now, specifically, as much as I love Anson Mount, it's Deep Space Nine, because they're in the middle of a war and they don't know if they're going to win. But they keep pushing and pushing and they don't give up. And that is where I feel we are in America right now. So Ben Sisko gives me heart.
So we're on exactly the same page with that. Massive Trekker here. And Deep Space Nine, definitely my favorite, although not the favorite of most fans, because they weren't exploring. They were stuck on a space station. But I loved that part of it. I love the continuity. I love the character development it provided by that constant human interaction. And even though not Avery Brooks. What's his name? Is that right?
Avery Brooks, yes.
Avery Brooks. He's comes off as a nut job in absolutely any interview that he's in. He embodied Sisko in such a way that was so powerful. And I'm such a fan of it. Now, that being said, boy, Strange New Worlds is a really close. It's trying. It's overachieving in a really big way for me. I also loved Lower Decks.
Oh, it's a riot. We all love the Mariner.
And that crossover was just incredible. and now these old scientists, and it was
So many
marvelous.
dregs. It was great. But Deep Space Nine has my favorite Klingon, and it's not Worf.
Which one?
Martok.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he embodies everything that is truly Klingon.
Well, he's also a Quark.
Mm-hmm. He is. Just and the growly voice, just adore him.
I also loved the way that show amplified Loxana Troy to a whole new level.
Yes.
And just made me love her more. She could manage a Ferengi ear like nobody's business.
Ferengis are so useful these days.
They just are.
There was something about one of the grifters in the Washington Follies and why they were doing, and I just found a Quark meme that said rules of engagement number 248, greed is eternal.
Yeah, the laws of acquisition.
Yes, thank you, rules of acquisition.
Yes, so. Rules of acquisition, that was it. Wonderful stuff. And I love all of the memes we see now where it's responding to the idea of, and this was really prominent when Discovery was on.
Yes.
Of when did Star Trek get to be so woke? Like in the 1960s.
But it wasn't seen as woke then because we all were accepting of woke.
Well, and also that was a time when the whole country almost was going through a renaissance of thought.
Mm-hmm.
And we were having so many things become prominent in thought that had not been there before in our human experience as colonizers. And for those ideas to be surfacing a little bit, Gene Roddenberry granted, Gene Roddenberry could be kind of a shit show person, but he really pulled those ideas out. Yes. and just showcased them. I loved it. Good stuff. Yeah. So, any other movies or TV shows that you're into?
Oh, let's see. What other ones do we watch? When we need the occasional dose of when things were normal, we'll watch All Creatures Great and Small.
Oh, that's a great show.
It's a lovely show.
Let's hope we can keep PBS so we can keep watching it.
Please. What else? I tend not to do the things that are wildly popular. Things like Blood of My Blood and Outlander, because I'm sorry, sex is wonderful. I don't need to see it every single episode. Thank you very much.
They're a little overboard on that.
Yeah. And most things are these days. We try things and we have the first episode or two in a season, and as soon as they're wrestling on the bed, and we just look at each other and go, let's watch Star Trek.
Yeah.
It's just, what are they trying to prove?
Well, and I had seen Outlander before and read all the books, and Eric and I had run out of things to watch, and I said, well, you're not going to like this. This is a girl show. But let's try this. And he did like it, but he kept saying, why are they fucking so much?
Yes, exactly.
And I said, they did in the book too. But yeah,
if you get tired of it, you can flip 15 pages. And
it's kind of like reverse porn, because when you're watching porn, you try to fast forward to the porn.
Mm-hmm.
And in this, you want to fast forward to the story.
That's exactly right.
I don't think that was not their intention.
That's wonderful.
So, oh gosh, I lost it. Oh, I was going to comment. Another thing I have a lot of trouble watching is violence now. It used to not bother me so much. But now gratuitous violence really does something to my spirit that's unpleasant.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't watch a lot of violent stuff. In fact, my son just saw the movie The Long Walk, which is Richard Bachman, Stephen King book. And he said it's really, really good. It's well done. It's so amazing. It's got a kind of edge of Shawshank Redemption. It's got a little bit of Lord of the Flies, but Mom, don't go see it. You're gonna hate it. And yeah, I can't do it.
If we want violence, we go outside. We look there. I do not need, it's like I will never watch a horror movie.
Same. I used to, and I can't now.
I deal with that kind of bullshit in work. I can't do the suspension of disbelief because I know a lot of that shit happens.
I hadn't considered that, but you're right. It's like when somebody who's a history buff picks apart a Tudor series. Like that wouldn't happen. That's inaccurate. That I do that.
Oh God, I've got to tell you this story. Back in the early to mid 70s, about 1974, I had just joined the Society for Creative Anachronism, the reenactment people, and I was in full Tudor. I mean, that was my period. And it was in Cambridge, and they were doing a feature of Anne of the Thousand Days with Geneviève Bujold and Richard Burton. And about 12 of us went, it was like $3. It was on the campus. We all walked in. We just went by the ticket booth, and they go, but, and I was the last one. And I looked at them and I nodded. I said, quality control, and just walked in. That was that. I mean, you couldn't get away with that now, but God almighty, was that awesome. Right? And people would say, that's not a French hood. That's 1527. She's 1524. Boy, didn't they check things? Obnoxious. God, we were awful.
Yeah, I know that feeling very much. So I do that with when I watch a horror film though now. Just which at least then you've got some written idea through letters and even the fiction of the time of what it was like and how to date it and what actually wouldn't happen. Ours is a little bit more subjective than that, but still.
True. Yeah. Was there ever a movie that you saw where they got it really right?
Well, I got one where they got it wrong that I did pick apart. I'll go back to the right in a second. I loved The Skeleton Key, and they really got that right until she had that giant trough of brick dust. And I thought, no witch in the world has that much brick dust. That shit is too hard to make. And that's when I called bullshit there. But other than that, it was a really excellent hoodoo piece. Okay. But I'm trying to think. Not really. If I come up with one, I'll check back in. But at this time, none's coming to mind. Do you have any?
Well, I don't watch horror. There have been a couple of craft shows, esoteric shows. There was one, I don't remember, I think it was City of Angels with Nicolas Cage and Meg Ryan. And I was just giggling through that whole thing because how he kept popping in was exactly the way my crew pops in for me. And, everyone was crying, but I was going, nope. No. So yes, sometimes they get it right, even though they don't know they do.
I remember watching an episode of X-Files when I was a really big fan of X-Files. Mm-hmm. And they had a circumstance where there was a possible Satanist death or sacrifice. Mm. And they were also talking about how it could be, local witches or something like that. And I don't remember the context. I may be getting this wrong, but I remember I was getting really pissy about it. And I think it was Fox Mulder who said, shut up. Let me tell you something for a second, and just laid it all out of, you need to get your terminology straight here. And also, we don't have any true Satanist sacrifices that have ever been recorded as happening. And going about witches are this and Wiccans are this. And I thought, wow, somebody actually did some research on that. So that was kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So think about everything you do and everything you love. And I think I know what you're going to say because it's one of my favorite parts of what you do. What would you like to promote? What would you like people most to know about what's going on right now?
Two things, one leads to the other. I am having a blast on TikTok. I swore to God I was not going to do TikTok for years because you see most of the Madam Hoo-Has and Swami Swalandas on there, and it's like, no. But when I got a hold of rebranding as the No Bullshit Psychic, I said, that could work. So since last December, I've got like 21,000 followers.
Wow.
Now. And I do lives 2 nights a week. Wednesday is Cafe Corbie. That's the teaching hour. That's when it's like I'm sitting around with a beer at the bar with anybody who wants to ask me questions about what we do, how we do it. It's the elder teaching the littles. And of course, Thursday night is the free reading hour, which is full of Does Bruce Love Me? But
are they nice to you?
Oh, they love me because in an hour I can read 35 to 40 people.
Sure.
Because I don't bullshit. I don't. And sometimes I'm snarky, but that's okay. Patreon is really becoming great fun. I started it in 21. Right now I have 2 classes. I call them Team Raven and Team Crow. Raven are my masterclass. They have been with me since I started. And I love the fact that they have become tribe. Perfect example. One of them has a 5-year-old who was just diagnosed on the autistic spectrum. Another one has a kid who graduated college on the autistic spectrum. They didn't need me. They started talking to each other and supporting each other. To me, that's the kind of class I want. That's why I refer to them as the nestlings. And we get together once a month and we teach. Team Crow is more rookies. Right now, those are the only 2 classes I have, and they're sold out because I won't teach more than 12 at a time. I want everyone to have my attention. If I don't know something, I know people who do. January, we always have Pat Dumas, the fabulous astrologer out of York, PA. We've got Catherine Knock from the UK as an animal communicator. If we could ever, persuade you to come and talk to the classes,
sure,
baby, it's being recorded. People heard you say that.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We want to arrange that. I wasn't sure if you were sick or tired of teaching already. But what I'm doing now, until I have room to open up another class, I've got 3 tiers: Magpie, Crow, and Raven. But you get meditations every month. You get my view of the world once a month. You get articles just for you. That's Magpie. When you're Crow, then you also get a sheet I do for you, personal intention sheets, what you want to do for the year. And I do a special Cafe Corbie, that's the teaching thing, for just Crow. For the Raven tier, they also get a free reading hour with me once a month. And if there are only 3 Ravens in the Raven tier, they get me for an hour. And if I do anything very special, they just go in, they get a free pass. And I price it so small because these days money is tight and I want to make it possible for everyone. One of the weird things people say, why do you downsell yourself all the time? Because the ones we can't trust upsell. And if you only need to spend 15 minutes with me, don't freaking book an hour.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That way they trust us. And frankly, you'll get them back because they know you're not handling them, I think is the Yiddish word.
Gotta agree with all of that, for sure. I really am excited about, I knew you were going to say TikTok first.
Yeah.
I'm excited that you've been able to really get a hold of that. I haven't yet. I'm still working on that. My son is really great with TikTok. And he kind of scared me a little bit because he said, Mom, you got to be real thick skinned on there. And I thought, I'm just tired. I don't have bandwidth to be thick-skinned anymore with anybody. I need to be able to be vulnerable and just rest my shields a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Well, look, when I'm on there, I'm the New Yorker. I'm snarky. I'm funny. But I'm positive without being glitter and unicorn farts.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what people need. They will respect. I mean, there's one on there, I will not name her, but she's typical. She's got the hair of 14 different colors and shaved on one side and enough jingling jewelry to be Jacob Marley. And she says, and now we're going to do, and I'm thinking, where's your trick or treat bag, honey? And she is someone that has had people land on her, and she lands on them back, and it's nasty. And I don't get that. Admittedly, when I do the free reading hours, I have a moderator, and that's one you're going to want. His name is the Blue Rose Mystic, Chris. He's wonderful. He's early 30s, but brilliant, especially with gods, goddesses, demons. He's already done his own oracle deck. He's next generation, and I love working with him. Mm-hmm. He moderates. He keeps people, he mutes people that are, Jesus is going to get you, and he helps put things up. And so, frankly, I would recommend watch one of my free reading hours, and you'll see how the chat goes. Because, look, you are brilliant.
Oh.
Especially Lenormand, which I'm still just learning. And I don't know anybody that does Lenormand.
Interesting. Something to think about.
It is. There's room. There is room, trust me.
Speaking of room, something you and I, now you have got 29 years left for this, or no, I'm sorry, 19 years left for this.
Yeah.
What's on your bucket list?
I don't have one. I thought, but I think I can tell you why I don't. Because I never had or wanted kids, so no grandkids either. I'm always me. It's why I don't look back on memories very much. I always live in the present moment. So I don't have anything I wasn't able to do except win the lottery, reside the house, stuff like that. That's not a bucket list. All I want to do for the next 19 years is keep my brain as sharp as possible, keep doing this work, keep giving people the understanding that, yes, the America is the tower card right now. But as I explained, the Boston Red Sox want to build a new stadium that got to blow up Fenway first and clear the ground. That is what we're doing. Yeah. And I often say, I'm Moses. I do not think that I'm going to live to see America in its full new flourishing. But I'll see it start. And hopefully I will have helped some of the people that will start it. So
that's awesome.
That's a bucket list. I guess that's what it is.
I had the same answer in a way because I had to say I don't have one. Because I've done all the things I wanted to do, and I've done amazing things that were goals that I did accomplish. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, I'm the same. I'm just let me sustain. Let me just sustain.
Yeah. We want to stay healthy. We want to keep our brains. That's the bucket list.
Yeah, exactly. I wonder how many people our age do kind of narrow that down to that point of, it would be nice. And, I just wrote about this. If, gosh, so many people would stop dropping like flies, but that's not in my control. I can't put that on my list. So just got to try to take care of me.
Yeah. I think people that have bucket lists of all the things they didn't get to do are people that did things because other people thought they should. Or stuck with jobs that they hated because I'm supposed to work until I retire, or, everything was, they were helicopter parents. And so they never got to do. Yeah. I was busy re-raising myself. I wanted to go to England. I've gone once. I don't need to go again. I wanted Maine Coons. Been a Maine Coon mom cat for 40 years. Wanted to write books. I've done that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all I would want now is to win the lottery so I'd have a very comfortable retirement. Because
Oh,
you know,
I hear you.
I can pay the car lease, but I can't pay the rent on what I do. But that's okay. We are managing. This is not the way I thought I was going to grow up. You know, dad was a nice Jewish doctor in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, big house, this, that. Not now. But our house is paid for. How many of them are upside down on the mortgage?
Yeah, for sure.
Carlos taught me how to be frugal, which I never was before I married him. So we are able to sustain ourselves without too much difficulty. People who have bucket lists never learn to tell other people no, I think,
Mm.
go find their own lives.
I found that a lot of my bucket list items were, it's almost like in baseball where you have to go back and tag the base. If I had done something poorly, I wanted to go back and do it well.
Okay. I can
And
see.
so it was more like sharpening my own pencil a little bit.
Okay.
And so I did that, and I feel good about that. And there were some things I knew I was born to do that I couldn't see an avenue for that to happen in my circumstances. And so having made those things happen felt like a huge accomplishment to me. And I don't have any of those things anymore, really.
But it doesn't mean you're done.
Well, we'll see. We'll see what comes up. When I announced that, it's sort of soft announced because I just told friends and family that Warm Hands was going to be the last book, the last new book that I wrote.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody said, "Oh, don't say that. Oh, you don't know that. Oh, you have more." No, I really don't. I've said so many words. I've written so many words
Mm-hmm.
that I've said everything I need to say. I love doing my blogs. I love working my Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
I love living the life that I have, and I enjoyed writing books, and now it feels like that's done. I really enjoyed apprenticing as a midwife and teaching childbirth classes. I did that for almost 20 years, and when I moved to California, I knew that part of my life was done.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is just another one of those things that I did it. I'm happy with the results. I am rewriting a couple of books for the same reason. They could be better, and I want them to be better. So I'm rewriting those as new editions, but I don't see any new books. And it bothers me in a way that even people that care about you, think you should go on doing the same thing your whole life. When we closed Crossroads, a lot of people said, "I never, ever believed that you would do that. How could you do that? It was so great. Why would you close the store?" And I thought, you thought I was going to do this until I died?
Look at the 60s bands that are tottering on stage.
Oh, gosh.
Look at Mickey Dolenz at 80. No. When I say there's more for you to do, it's not necessarily what you've done.
Right.
But there's more to do for you,
I remember that reading you did that said that. Yeah. I took that. I really took that.
I don't remember my readings, that. I remember the ones you've done for me, but
I'm the same. When I give a reading for somebody, that's theirs. It has nothing to do with me. Mm-hmm. And if I retained anything from any of the readings I've done for everybody, I wouldn't have room to know where I left my car keys. So that's theirs. So I don't remember what I read for anybody yesterday.
That I explain that as it's like a computer, it's core dump.
Yes.
Otherwise, you're going to get the spirit guides from Ralph, 3 readings before you. You don't want that.
Right. That's exactly true. And I have I have many clients, and I feel bad when they say, "Do you remember that reading that you did for me last year?" And I would say, I don't remember yesterday's readings. So I especially don't remember what I read for you last year. Mm-hmm. The only time I remember readings is I've got a few clients, and I'm sure that you've had these too, where they get the same reading every single time because they're not hearing what the cards are saying. They're filtering what they want the cards to say. And so I'll remember the ones that I've done the same reading 400 times.
Oh, see, now you're nicer than me. People come in, they ask me, "Well, how often should I get a reading?" I said, it depends what you do. If I do a reading for you on your business and a month later you come back and say, great, I did everything that we talked about and now this is how it shifted, I'll read you again, sure. But if for 3 years in a row you come see me at the same Syracuse Psychic Fair and it's always the same questions, after the 3rd year, I will cut you off like a good bartender because you're wasting your money.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm an optimist, so I always figure maybe I can find the right words this time.
Kinder than me.
Yeah.
Let me tell you.
There's got to be a way.
What do you do when someone you're the 5th person that they've had a reading with at the psychic fair?
I fully expect there's going to be a 6th and a 7th and an 8th.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
because
it's like joining a really bad garage band. Mm-hmm. Because you're going to walk in, you're going to play your little piece. It's going to sound like shit and you're going to leave.
Play Leonard Skinner, man. Yeah, I know.
Right. That's how I see it. And it is often. Now, it was really bad. It was especially bad when I was a telephone psychic, which I did for a couple of years. And that was the dirtiest, most disgusting job. I have had a job so what I would do is go in and clean houses for property managers when somebody just left on them, and didn't clean the house. I have scraped maggots out of a refrigerator. I mean, I've had gross jobs, but that psychic hotline job was the most disgusting job I've ever had in my life.
I think we've all worked for that one. Now, I admit there's one that I still occasionally go on, and that's Best Psychics Directory, because I charge through the wazoo for that, so you're not going to call me unless you're serious. But, I'd rather have them come to my website, do that. It's just, now I admit there are a couple of readings I can't tell you who they were, but I remember these readings because they are good examples of things like mediumship or past lives. So you remember the reading, but not who it's connected to.
Yeah, I can get that. Sure. I had a reading from a lady in 1983 on the boardwalk of Great Yarmouth in England. And she had this little shack that looked like a toll booth kiosk,
Okay.
And there was just enough room for her and a table and 2 chairs, and it was nicely decorated. And she was a palmist, and I'd never had my palm read before. And I was amazed. And when I went in, she used just a normal little crystal ball, but she used it to magnify the lines on my hands. And I'd never seen anyone do that before. And she was extremely good. And in fact, one thing she said about my ex-husband stuck with me. And she said, you're going to have to get a shotgun and kill him to get rid of him. And I thought that was the most brutal thing. But here I am, how many years later, 40 some years later, and he texts me to tell me he got a new dog. Which I love. It's fine. I'm glad that he thinks well of me. That's great. But I thought, man, he is going to be here forever, isn't he?
That's a kind of thing that you couldn't say today that you would need.
She was very specific about
but with the plethora of guns now, I mean, I used to say when I would do a reading, and they're trying to figure out well, this is status quo. This is the come to Jesus, you have counseling. This is hostile bye-bye. These are your 3 choices. And I used to finish it with, because you can't shoot him. Yeah. I dropped that 10 years ago.
It's an option now.
You can't joke about guns.
Yeah. But that was a really good reading. And she had some really good advice for things that were happening in my life right at that time. And I think that's probably one of the memorable readings that I have received. And it was impacting. And I think it was impacting because it was the first reading I ever got where I felt really seen.
That's huge. Yeah. What about Do you remember one or two readings that maybe you don't remember who the person was that you did the readings for, but what you said has stayed with you?
No, I wish I did, because I said some really smart shit. There's so much I wish I could go back and write down that as I was saying it, I kind of got a chill and went, that wasn't me. And that was really smart. I
Mhm.
want to remember that. And it just went away. And I had one of my coven members recently came to me and said, you said this thing. And it just moved me so much. And I went, oh, what was it? And she told me I have zero memory of saying it. But the thing is, that happens away from readings too for people where we don't understand how significant what we say can be to somebody.
Yes, totally.
And yeah. And so, gosh, we got to be careful with our words.
We do. We do. The couple of readings that I do remember are, I use them as examples for how a reading would work. Like I have a couple of good past life stories, and I do have a story that I tell people as to why I will not do mediumship in a gallery. Um, I may have mentioned this years ago on the original show we did. Um, my mediumship is very targeted in that I don't go fish. I get their names, when they died, how old they were, and then I go find them. And I do not censor what I get. So there was a biracial same gender couple. The black partner had died. Her white widow wanted to speak to her. Nice Jewish kid from Cherry Hill, New Jersey. I had manners. What came out of my mouth in flawless urban ebonics was, well, shit, if it ain't my white bitch, I'm going to. And the woman in front of me bursts out laughing.
Oh my gosh.
That is how her partner Isabel walked into the house after every business trip. You can't say that on the stage. No.
Okay, so now you triggered me, as you often do.
Uh-oh.
I had an amazing opportunity where I did readings for most of the cast of All My Children.
You did.
Mic'd, and in front of probably 150 fans. And it was probably, oh gosh, 3 or 4 weeks after they announced that they were taking the show off the air.
Mm.
And so I was reading, it was one of those like Tonight Show things where you're sitting on a couch and I had the microphone and everything. And I'm reading for all of these different actors. And it was actually getting pretty boring because I was getting, okay, your job is ending. You're going to move back to the West Coast. Did you live there before? Okay, well, you're going to move to the West Coast.
You did not know that it had been canceled, or you did?
Yes, I did. And
Oh.
that's why it sucked, because the cards were just saying, yep, job is ending. Okay, it's going to be a little while before you get another job. And it was all job, because all of those people were so focused on that because they had just learned they were getting fired. And so the crowd's getting restless and everything. And finally, an actor who all these years later, I will still keep nameless, who was a male who was very popular on the show, who I adored, one of my absolute favorites. And it's one of the times I met my hero and still liked him.
Mm.
And I'm reading for him, and I was a little fluttery, to read for him. But he was so open, and a little more open than what I expected, because most of them are pretty guarded at these events. And so I read the cards, put them down. I looked at the spread, and it was all about a very public divorce that he had from another soap star maybe 8 or 9 years before, that he was still deeply wounded from.
Mm.
And there were things in the reading that were not public knowledge. And I'm just looking at them, and I'm looking at him, and I'm looking at them, and I'm looking at him. And he said, is something wrong? And I just took the microphone inside and said, we're microphoned. There's stuff in here you don't want to come out. I'm happy to talk to you about it later, but this needs to not be public. And he said, well, I'm an actor. Let's do this. And so I pulled up the microphone again. I'm like, well, your job's going to end. And I said, I told him a few other things to let him know that I wasn't just bullshitting him, and said, you are deeply wounded by a relationship in the past where somebody betrayed you in a really hurtful way, and you don't feel seen anymore because of that. You feel like this, you thought this person knew you, and for them to hurt you in that way indicated they had no idea or they didn't care. And so this was something that anybody in the audience could relate to. But he knew exactly what I was saying, and his eyes got kind of wide. And so I just wrapped up the reading very quickly. And so when it was time for the autograph signing, I was going to be during that time reading for some of the guests.
Mm-hmm.
And he told the people who were orchestrating the event, put her over here next to me. So that was a really interesting time. I did get to get ready for this. I got in that situation, I got to read for Lee Merriweather, and that made me really happy. Like I got to read for Catwoman, man.
She was lovely. She was lovely.
She was a neat lady. She really was. This was at Jill Larson's event, and she's also a really super neat person. And of course, on All My Children, Opal read tarot cards. So that's why that was part of that event.
Okay.
And it was pretty crazy. Yeah, so I'd forgotten that one. So what is your favorite part of the day?
It's usually first thing in the morning, as long as I don't have 22 pounds of mommy breakfast now. You know, because 22 pounds when you're asleep and it lands on you, it's like rough. It is. But I'm very much a morning person. It's like we were supposed to get rain out here. We didn't. It was bad drought. I feel like the meteorologist is Lucy with a football. But so I was out at 5 minutes to sunrise to get my walking in, and it was gorgeous. You know, one of the reasons I have a harder time with less and less sunlight is because my brain goes to sleep at sunset. I do my best work when there's light. So
wonderful.
The more the better.
So if you could pick anyone, including yourself, to whom you would like for us to send some love today, who would that be?
Actually, I would like to send that to Jessa Macbeth from the Fairies Oracle.
Oh,
Jessa is in her mid to late 80s, and she just moved into a new place. She's on Facebook, so a lot of us know her. She thought that her cat Marzipan was headed for the bridge, but she did some healing work, and Marzipan is still with us. So Jessa and Marzipan could really use a dose of happy, healthy boost.
Awesome. Let's take a moment, do some breathing. As deep as you comfortably can, let it out. Feel the divine light come in the top of your head. Feel the grassy earth beneath your feet, reaching up, fulfilling the earth and healing needs that you have. Let that divine light come down and work around your heart where all that love lives, and let that healing come up from below. See them kind of marry around there together, starting off in a yin-yang way and then swirling and swirling together. And then we're going to push it all the way out and feel it exit your body, keeping some for yourself, but feel it just flow. And remember that those are not finite energy sources. They continue to flow through you. You're not just getting rid of what's in you. You're letting that flow and flow and flow and get all of that healing and love out there. Jessa and Marzipan, open to it and feel it. It goes all around them. It goes through them. And then we relax and we let it go. All right. Thanks for being with me today, Corbie.
It was a blast.
It's always a blast. You're one of my favorite crones.
Thank you, my darling.
And thanks to everybody out there for being with us. Do you have anything else you'd like to share with us today, Corbie?
Yeah. I want you to remember my favorite saying from Robert Heinlein, Time Enough for Love. In life, moderation is for monks. Take big bites.
I love that. That's awesome. Thanks for being here with us, everybody. And be sure and give Corbie some love down in the comments. And I'm really responsive to comments as they come up, and I will point Corbie in that direction when we get them too. But a big shout out to our former Tea and Crohn's people that might be popping in on this too. We love you. Big love, big love. Thanks for being here. We'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.